Rich Rising, you guys. It's your favorite consumer law advocate, Rebecca Simone, and I'm here to elaborate on my post yesterday that I made about this debt collection letter. I asked you guys to guess how many violations were in the letter, and the person that gets seven first, she won. Okay. So, by the way, Adrienne, check your inbox. I inboxed you your promo code so you can register for Monday's class completely free. For all others who would like to register for the class, the link is in the comment section of this post. Now, FDCPA is a law that governs debt collection and was written by Congress to basically protect consumers. A lot of times, consumers don't even read this law, so they don't understand how they are protected. So let's read it. Let's read the Declaration of Purpose. So there is an abundant evidence of the use of abusive, deceptive, and unfair debt collection practices by many debt collectors. Abusive debt collection practices contribute to the number of personal bankruptcies, to marital instability, to the loss of jobs, and to the invasion of individual privacy. Existing laws and procedures for redress of these injuries are inadequate to protect consumers. Means other than misrepresentation or other abusive debt collection practices are available for the effective collection of debts. Abusive debt collection practices are carried on to a substantial extent in interstate commerce and through the means of instrumentalities of such commerce, like the mail. Even where I put like the mail in there, y'all didn't say that. Even where abusive debt collection practices are purely intrastate in character, they nevertheless directly affect interstate. So when they say instrumentalities, this is an instrumentality of interstate commerce. Back to the law. Okay, so abusive debt collection, I just read that. It is the purpose of this subchapter to eliminate abusive debt collection practices by debt collectors, to ensure that those debt collectors who refrain from using abusive debt collection practices are not competitively disadvantaged, and to promote consistent state action to protect consumers against debt collection abuses. So the states cannot protect consumers if consumers don't realize they are injured, because you can't win a lawsuit unless you actually file one. So let's move over to this letter. Now, just looking at the letter, the first red flag I saw was that Shermata Law Group is attempting to collect on behalf of another debt collector, LVNV Funding. If you look them up, they're a debt collector. They have plenty of people that are suing them. So I'm assuming, because since they assume, I assume that LVNV Funding doesn't have the time or means to collect on this debt. So they decided to sell it, as they do all other debts, to other debt collectors. Shermata Law Group is a debt collector. They say it at the top. This is also a law firm. This is a law firm that represents consumers as it pertains to bankruptcy. So the same lawyers that you're paying to file your bankruptcies because they can't get you out of debt are the same lawyers that's gonna try to collect on behalf of the third parties. It's wild. It's like, that should be a conflict of interest. You should not be able to be a representative of the debt collector as well as the debt collector, but that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about these violations. So the first one is the misrepresentation that this account was owned by LVNV Funding to be able to be legally sold to Shermata, right? That's the first one. The second one is, it says you had an account with First Electronic Bank. So if my account or my client's account was with First Electronic Bank, how did it get to LVNV Funding, to then be transferred to Shermata? All without my client's reverence, acknowledgement, or approval. It's misrepresentation. 15 USC 1692 E2. Look it up. Misrepresentation. So if a organization, corporation, lawyer, whoever they want to be, if they misrepresent the character, amount, legal status, or anything of the alleged debt, that is a violation of 15 USC 1692 E2. So that has happened on here several times, and I placed like right here, and right here. Okay. So the third thing, even though that accounted for two different instances, also each time that you see a violation, you put the code by the violation so you'll know how many times they actually violated the law in that letter. So we have 1, 2, 3. Let's go over here to the how can you dispute section. So call or write us by January 27, 2025 to dispute all or part of this debt. If you do not, we will assume that our information is correct. Now, first of all, if I owed you a debt, what you mean assume? There are no assumptions. Do we know what the word assumption means? Do we see the first three letters in that word? Because that's what it makes you when you assume something. So they are assuming the information they got from LVNV funding is correct and complete and precise. And in doing so, they have made themselves liable to a federal lawsuit because none of that information is correct about my client. This account was actually charged off years ago. When something is charged off, the account has to be zeroed out. If you read the charge-off form, the charge-off form literally says uncollectible amount. You're getting literally a tax credit for not collecting that amount anymore. In accounting, the only way that you can zero something out is to add or, add the negative amount to it. So $1,183.25, a negative $1,183.25 would have to have been put on the account records to zero that account out. Somehow, First Electronic Bank sold that information to LVNV Funding, which then sold that information there. Now, LVNV Funding were the first people that tried to collect on this, and we already sent them a cease and desist. That's why they sold her information, or his information. This time, we'll be suing them, because this is willful noncompliance at this point. So 1692E5 talks about threatening to take any action that cannot legally be taken or that is not intended to be taken. Legally, you cannot assume. Let's get the facts straight. You cannot assume anything. No law firm should be sitting here talking about they assume a thing. You should be able to say, we have proof in black and white, you owe us this debt. Or we have proof in black and white, you owe LVNV funded. These people saying we're trying to collect on a debt you owe LVNV funded, but then turn around and say you had an account in 2024, which was last year, with First Electronic Bank. Make that make sense. Because if it was just 2024 was literally May 26, 2024 was less than 7 months ago. It's no way the account was charged off from here, sold to this company, and then resold here in as little as 7 months. So this is misrepresented. I know the original date of that First Electronic Bank account, and it wasn't May 26 when it was charged off. So anyway, let's get back over here. I just want you guys to pay attention to the next statement, just because it says, if you write us by January 27th, we must stop collection on any account or any amount you dispute. So please note, when you dispute things, they have to stop collection. Collection attempts mean calling you, means sending you letters other than to sending information to verify this stuff. It also means reporting it on your credit report. So if this was on that person's credit report, it needs to be off of there, because that is a collection attempt. That has been ruled in case law by a federal judge that reporting something on your credit report is an attempt to collect a debt. All right, let's go.